So I was in the shower, I was cleaning my ass and making all sure it's all sparkly, spanky clean.
I'm not the funny one, I'm the pretty one.
Cock shots. I just checked myself out.
Candles, music, wine, and then lube up and get on top.
The glory hole's like a big theater. I've imagined your family.
Which means your pants had better come off. Mama needs playtime. I do this.
We're not sluts.
We just love love.
Do your thing, woman.
Hello, everyone. This is Mrs. Adam.
And this is Mr. Adam.
And if we don't make sense today, then please excuse us. We're all in post-coital bliss at the moment.
And exhausted from 2 late nights.
Yes.
But we're not alone.
No, we're joined here today by Jay and Gray.
Not alone.
We're joined by Jay and Gray. They're at Wine and Fun Times on Twitter.
Hello.
Hi. No pressure.
I love they're both smiling all goofily, like we can all see them. But they have such nice smiles.
Yeah.
Hi, Mom.
Stop waving. She can't see you.
That's a good thing. Yes.
True.
So yeah, we've had a really busy weekend, and Jay and Gray were kind enough to come and join us along our adventures, which you'll hear, or may have probably already heard on another podcast. So we'll go through those. But what we wanted to talk to them about today is managing children and family in the lifestyle.
Dun, dun, dun.
Because we've had a lot of questions about that, but we don't have children ourselves.
Nor family.
Yeah, no. We don't like them. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
Sorry, Ma.
Yeah. So yeah, let's start off with telling us a little bit about yourselves. How long, first of all, do you define yourselves as being in an open relationship or swingers? Or is there a distinction to you, or is it all the same?
I like to think maybe we're something in between. Some terms just don't sit well with me, and it sort of sets you in a little box, and people assume one thing of you. We definitely started out as swingers, but I found I like the personal connections that we've made with people, and I'm like, it's a little bit more than swinging, a little bit less than an open relationship. Undefinable. Fun. Adult
And fun. And wine.
Lots of wine and lots of fun.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So how long have you been swinging or had an open relationship?
January last year is when it sort of started.
Wow, that's it?
All right, so
Yeah.
14 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
For some reason, I thought it was longer. I don't know why.
Because we're so awesome.
Fair enough.
So therefore, if it's been just a little over a year, you had children before this, yeah?
Yes.
Because you have young children, and then you've got a slightly older child, right?
Medium children.
Yeah.
Yeah, medium. Young children and medium. Yeah.
Well, the real
So,
place.
yeah, I already had a child when we first met, to my first marriage. So we were already screwed from the start. There were kids from the beginning for us.
Aw.
And then we've had 2 children together. They're all from the eldest to the youngest 3 years apart.
That's
But-
a lot of diapers early on.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
All
3
the,
under 3
yeah.
for a day.
But unfortunately, the older they get, the more questions they ask about things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were telling a story about your rope. That makes me happy. So
Yeah, so last night I wore a Shibari-themed costume to Red Heaven, and our 5-year-old daughter spied the rope in my bag as I was packing, and she's like, Mom, are you going climbing this weekend? Well, what else do you say? Yes.
Mama's gonna mount
yeah,
something.
I'm going to mount something. So, yeah, the awkward questions are starting.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I'm imagining it's only going to get worse.
Yes.
Probably.
Hey, Dad, you better learn to clear your browser cache. I'm sorry. I misspoke. Hey, Mom, you better learn to clear your browser cache.
So did having children previously, did that influence your relationship, your decision to open up your relationship, or
I don't think so.
no? It
No,
did it not?
it
Was it
didn't
not a
even-
consideration?
Factor? No.
No, I think initially, jumping into it, didn't even consider it. But then as things started happening, we had to factor that in, like extra locks went on doors and and things, and like about bringing people back, you have to factor that in, and babysitters and everything. But they're things that you don't think of to start with. You're just like, oh, this is a great idea, let's do it, and then it's like, oh crap, there's all this logistical stuff surrounding it.
Yeah, but I think it's interesting because I think a lot of people look at it and they're like, oh, I have kids, I can't even think about this.
Yeah.
Maybe when the kids turn 18 and get out of the house, or, that time, that last hurrah before we have kids. But once pregnancy sets in, they're like, oh, we can't do this, we can't do this.
Yeah.
It's very true. So we hosted a meet and greet in Canberra last year, and a couple that we know were starting to try for a baby. And they didn't even think that because they were trying to get pregnant that they should be at a meet and greet, because they're like, oh, it's like false advertising. We're not going to play with anyone, so we shouldn't be there. And I'm like,
Why not?
why not? It's a meet and greet.
Yeah, why would
Yeah.
one preclude the other?
Yeah.
I'm like, it's just lifestyle people getting together and chatting. And if you don't want to play with anyone, just don't ask them back to your house.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just because you are pregnant or trying to get pregnant doesn't mean you can't play, because Mr. Adam finds pregnant women extremely hot.
Sploosh.
So, yeah.
And pregnant
I do
women
too.
can get very horny.
Yeah.
That they do.
Yeah, pregnant women are like at the top of my list.
And their boobs get bigger.
That they do.
So do you state in your online dating profiles that you have children, or do you allude to it, or is that not even really a part of it?
A little bit over time. I think at one point we did. It definitely says like, we have like a young family or something, but whether or not. Or
I think
family,
it specifically
whether or not
states we
goes.
have family commitments. And in my mind, that alludes to the
Yeah.
fact that we have children. He wants to change the wording to like be fairly explicit.
Well, don't
like,
say we have a young family, because that sounds like you've kidnapped some people and you keep them in the cellar.
quite
We have a
possibly.
young family. They rub the lotion on their skin.
Yeah, because we want people to know that we can't just drop everything and, run out to meet them.
Right.
Or,
You have
and
to
everything.
plan a little
yeah,
more.
we have to plan.
Well, you did that with us. You dropped everything and then... I kid.
So do you find when you're messaging people or when they're messaging you, I guess more so if you're messaging them, does having children influence do you get any more or less responses, or do people not care about that?
I don't think people care. There's so
No,
many people
yeah.
in the lifestyle who do have
Yeah.
children.
Yeah.
Because many of our play partners do have children.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot dating Canberra do too. So
It's funny because our preference is to see people who don't have children because we have children, and then when you get two couples with children, it just becomes 10 times harder to coordinate a
time.
date. Yeah.
That makes sense. I didn't even think about that, but you're
I
right.
didn't either.
Because we often talk about how difficult it is to find, two people in a couple that like two people in another couple.
Yeah.
Because it's not just like one-on-one dating. I don't have to just like you.
Yeah.
I have to like you. I have to like him. I have to like her. She has to like you.
Better like
him,
me.
Her. I mean, it's just. And now, if you add children in there, it's the emotional nightmare and the logistical nightmare.
Yes.
Of what are we going to do with these children?
Yes. Yeah, so we played with a couple once and they lived separately and they both had children.
Oh, jeez.
And so there was basically it was 3 couples almost
Yeah.
trying to palm off children to set a date. That really didn't go far because,
Wow.
nightmare.
Yeah.
We put that in the too hard basket.
Yeah, we have a too hard basket. I feel bad sometimes that we have one, but you just have to.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, that's something to think about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
They
I
frown.
like kid-free people.
Do they frown on kenneling your kids anymore?
That's not allowed? What?
Yeah, I know, right?
That's what we do when we steal our friends' kids.
I
We
know,
put them in a
but-
kennel. Like, oh, you're going out? Sure, we'll watch the kids. They'll just go in the kennel over there.
That's not true, people. That's not true. We don't put them in a kennel.
A cage?
We put them in the garage. Okay. So bad.
Yeah, I know. So, given that you do have children, and it is a little more of a logistical, I'm going to say nightmare, to get out and do things, how often are you able to meet up with play partners or to attend lifestyle events?
Locally, it's a bit easier. So we, we're happy to arrange to go out on a date and arrange a babysitter just in a couple of days, sort of notice. And so, most weekends we're open to it.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily every weekend though. It just gets a little
Costly.
bit costly, yeah, I suppose.
Yeah.
There's always that added extra cost depending on whether or not we've met them before.
Yeah,
And
so we
whether,
like to meet people.
Sometimes we still meet out.
Yeah, out and about. We wouldn't bring people straight back to our house. And then after we've had an initial meet, and if we feel comfortable, we'll happily bring them back to our house while the kids are there.
So you mentioned babysitters. I guess the question is, what do you do with the kids when you go out? Do you most often get a babysitter or grandparents or?
Depending on where we are. So at home we use the local au pair network. So we used to use
Explain
au pairs.
that.
So an au pair is like a foreign live-in nanny, and we used them ourselves for 3 years. And it was funny because that fell apart, and a few months later we're like, oh, hey, let's start swinging. I'm like, we could not have done that with an au pair living in our house. It's, they're often early 20s, and he's like, well,
Or
what do
you
you
could.
think? Yeah, I was like, well, you could.
I like that. I was thinking the same. I think you and I
They're
had.
young, attractive girls.
That mirror again. That mirror.
So the au pairs that come to town, they're always looking for extra work to earn cash, to go travelling, and so we can hire them fairly cheaply as babysitters, and especially weeknights, they're usually free. And there's so many of them in town that we can post an ad for a babysitter and we can have 4 responses in 10 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's like Facebook group for like au pair
That's cool.
job board for the area that you're in most capital cities and stuff like
We
that.
prefer to plan a little bit more in advance, but if we needed to get a babysitter at the drop of a hat, we can almost always do it.
Some super interesting couple.
So you don't have like a regular sitter then? It's always
So-
going through this network.
Yeah, it was...
We do, like, once we find one, we're happy to, like, reuse them again and again and again. Like, it's whether or not they're available, and if they're not, then we'll go, like, I'll usually message the ones that we've used
Right.
last
To see
few
if they're-
times to see if they're still available, because they're nice and we know them, it's a bit easier.
And-
And if not, then we just drop a message on the board.
And we're also mindful of the fact that sometimes we do bring people straight back to our house after we meet them, and I'm like, oh, which babysitter did we use last time we brought someone home? I'm like, if we keep using the same one, they'll
I don't mind.
they'll wonder why we keep bringing all these friends back.
Maybe then they get curious.
And then maybe you'll have a live-in au pair. As a side note, up until I was like 28, I thought au pair was just a French way to say fruit.
Au pair. Nice pair.
Would you like an au pair? I'll give you an au pair.
So for something like coming up to Sydney for a weekend, we use family, because it would just cost an arm and a leg to leave the kids at home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the eldest is with his dad this weekend, and then the other 2 are with grandma. So it's a bit of a sidetrack for us to drop kids off at grandma's, and
Bit of a kid shuffle.
yeah, a bit of a shuffle. And then there's, why are we dropping kids off at grandma's? Where are we going? And
Is grandma nosy?
grandma is quite nosy, a little bit.
Sure.
A lot.
A lot. So up until a year ago, we barely came to Sydney for anything. It was just, I'm like, oh, I hate Sydney. It's awful. It's busy and everything. And now we're like, oh, we're going to Sydney this weekend. So
That's great.
luckily this
We've found some things up in Sydney that attract us up here.
Yeah.
A few times.
Yeah. Luckily this weekend it was like, oh, it was just Valentine's Day. We want to go away for the weekend together and have a romantic weekend away. So that was an easy excuse.
How's that going for you?
Oh, lots of sex this weekend.
A nice romantic weekend.
Nice romantic weekend. Involving quite a lot of people.
Round, round, get around, I get around. Yeah.
Nobody says that romance has to only be with 2 people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
True.
That's great.
So what do you tell grandma typically, or family, friends, if they do ask, where are you going away, or?
I'm getting very good at changing the topic of conversation.
But before that, it's been like a work party, just someone's friend's birthday,
Yep.
Yeah.
People I used to work with. It's like, oh, you haven't seen them in ages. I just want to catch up and things like
So
that.
if Grandma found out, how would she react?
Probably like everything else, and she'll just politely ignore it.
Isn't that amazing how parents do that? I mean, is that that's your destiny? You realize that as parents.
Yeah.
You'll find out something that your child's doing, you'll disagree with it, and rather than skewer them, you'll just go, it's a lovely day out today.
Yeah,
she's already
She'll be good at
how it
changing
would
I was
Yeah.
going to say, Jay's already practicing that.
Yeah.
She's working on her deflection.
I love it.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear about this. Let's talk about this rug.
Wait a minute. Do you think that's like how our parents learned it? Was deflecting things that they were doing that we shouldn't know about?
Lord, I hope so. I hope so. Yeah. I can remember hearing my parents have sex.
Yeah. With other people?
No, God, no.
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
Maybe it happened and it's been blocked out of my brain. I don't.
Yeah. I was 10, so I was old enough to know.
Was it just a hearing, or was it like a walk in and oh?
I heard, and
my God.
I had woken up and I wanted something, I don't know. So I was knocking on the door. What's going on in there? Why is this door locked?
I'm coming.
Hey, typical 10-year-old, why is this door locked? Rattle, 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 rattle. Boom, 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 boom. What are you doing? Yeah.
Yep, we get that.
Poor parents.
Yeah.
So do you have partners over to your house then?
Yes. Yeah. So because
With the kids there or not kids there?
Yeah, so because babysitting is so costly, we're quite happy to have people at our house so that we can save a few dollars. Plus, we bought a nice big outdoor spa last January for my birthday.
We've never seen it, so it doesn't exist unless we've seen it.
For our American listeners, a spa is a hot tub.
Yes.
I don't know what they call it in Europe. Is it spa or hot tub?
Probably spa.
Probably spa.
Jacuzzi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So
I think jacuzzi's like a bathtub.
it's a good party starter.
Yeah.
Everyone get naked. Let's jump in the spa. And then
Definitely.
our bedroom is quite large. So we've got the big king size bed. We have a sex swing as well, which the kids have asked why there's this big
I was just gonna
hook
say.
in the ceiling. I'm like,
Okay,
it's
they've
for
never seen-
hanging things.
They've never seen the
Like
swing.
pot
then.
plants.
No, yeah. They've never seen the swing. That goes away as soon as we're
Okay.
finished with it. It hangs in the wardrobe in amongst the clothes.
Of course it does.
Like with the jackets.
Yeah.
So don't send your kids into your wardrobe to get a jacket for you.
Yeah.
I got this big, heavy vinyl leather jacket.
It's got lots of holes in it.
And chains.
Yes.
That's awesome. I want a sex swing.
No. Maybe we'll just have to go use theirs.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
We've used one once at Couples Club, and that was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've been on the receiving end of one at one of the saunas, and that was fun.
Yeah.
We got to get us a sex swing.
I know.
Yeah, it takes
We've
a
got
bit.
mirrors lined down the wall too. So
Yeah.
you get all the angles around it too. It's pretty good.
And where did you get that idea for the mirrors on the walls?
Oh, I don't know.
Someone posted a really good picture on Twitter once, and I'm
That's
like,
right.
oh, that's a great idea.
You're welcome. I love it because it's like,
where did you get those from?
it's like this is the best porn on TV. It's like a big widescreen TV of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
So, at what point did you discuss having people back to your place before you started doing it, or was it just a whim one day, or when you were out with somebody, or how did that
we did
work?
sort of talk about the kids and what we're going to do, because it was from when we first started talking about it between ourselves and wanting to join the lifestyle. It was a few weeks before we actively then really did anything. The first time was a trip up to Sydney to go to OSS for their masquerade party on the 16th of January, I think it was. Holy crap, that might actually be the date. It's I remember having to remember
That's your swing anniversary.
Wow.
Yeah. And so we spoke about it, about what we'd want to do and whether or not we'd tell the kids, and we sort of no, we don't need to do that.
At some point, will you tell the kids? At what age? I mean,
So they've met some of our friends, but yeah, they just think they're friends
Just
at
friends.
this stage.
Like we've had them over for dinner. You know, we've all had dinner at the table and all
Yeah.
sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
You know, barbecue or whatever, and then kids go to bed, and then we wait and we watch a movie and
So tell
watch
us
some
about
Netflix.
the
Yeah, Netflix and
Netflix
chill.
and chill.
Yeah.
I love it.
So tell us about the first time you had people over to the house. Were you nervous? Were you concerned? Did it go well?
Yeah, so that was actually
well.
that was the couple that they both have sets of children and live
Ah,
apart.
okay.
It
Yes.
was.
The two hard basket.
Yes.
Before it got too hard?
Well, it never got that hard. That was one of the other problems.
Snap.
Oh, snap. But we were almost caught in a very compromising position out in the spa. One of the kids had woken up and walked out and may or may not have seen something. We're not sure because they've never said anything. But it did give us a little bit of a scare, and then the next day he was at Bunnings buying extra locks for some of the doors
like-
in the house.
Yeah, we can put a little bolt up through that one, and then they can't open that. That's good. Yep.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I
We
love
had
it.
like a door in the hallway that covers off the closes the bedroom
Yeah.
off the rest of the
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
thing. So yeah,
So you lock your kids in their bedrooms.
yeah.
No, there's still another door that they can come out now, unfortunately.
Get to the toilet.
Yeah.
Time to go
It's
get
gonna
another
go
lock.
Yeah, more locks.
We do need a fire escape plan, people.
Yeah.
We're pretty lucky in that generally, once they go to sleep, they're asleep.
That's good,
So
yeah.
we
Most kids are like that, though, I think.
yeah, I think it was only in the early days that we sort of had issues with them not going to bed. I'm like, go to sleep. I'm like, I need playtime. Go to sleep. Go to sleep. Yeah. In more recent times, it's been no issues.
No.
So
Well, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's. I can imagine that would be kind of stressful because we've had a situation where, she's up on a counter, Angela's up on a counter and doing body shots, and then shortly after she gets back down off the counter and puts the dress back on, a child comes down and goes, "Mommy, I'm thirsty." I'm like, well, that was almost compromising.
yeah.
Yeah.
Why is Mommy doing body shots off the nice lady? Why do you know what a body shot is?
I think things have changed a little bit in our house in the last year. So I suppose I walked around the house a lot more clothed once upon a time, and now I walk around sort of more naked. And the kids, just to sort of get the kids used to, I don't know, nudity and stuff like that.
Not be ashamed of
And
bodies.
not be ashamed of
Yeah.
bodies
Yeah.
and everything. So,
So, how old's your oldest?
7.
7.
At what point did you do the talk? Have questions been asked yet?
No.
No, not
Where
really.
do babies come from?
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Haven't had any of that.
Target.
Due to
still
my
pretty
job,
early,
I would
though.
probably give a pretty straightforward answer to that one.
Well, you see, the sperm breaks through the egg.
It's actually a miracle that people fall pregnant due to everything that needs to happen.
That's awesome. And then the zygote builds inside the mummy's tummy. And then it bursts out alien style through the stomach.
Actually, no. Look, the kids do know that babies grow in tummies and all of that and everything. So
But they don't know how.
Because there was a few
But they don't
questions.
yeah,
know
they're not
how it
really
gets
sure
there.
how
Yeah.
it gets there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what we call food poisoning, little children. Mommy ate something that upset her stomach, and then baby. Sorry.
So when your kids do eventually either find out through some way, like walking in on you with other people, or start asking questions about, what you're doing when you're going out, or people coming over, does anybody actually stay the night, or does it you do your business and they go home?
We haven't.
Oh no, we did
Oh, we
have
did.
a couple stay
Yes,
the
that's
night,
right.
and that was a huge disaster.
How so?
Do tell. Dish.
So we met this couple online, and online we hit it off fantastically. But they were in Sydney, we were in Canberra, they had kids as well, and this was super early days of us joining the lifestyle, and I think we were still like I'm like, oh my gosh, someone else is paying super attention to me, and
Yeah.
I
To
was,
us.
yeah, to us, like, well, yeah, but like to us.
Apparently
but
Greg
it was
doesn't really
very,
matter.
it was very one-on-one. Like he was totally into me, and she was totally into him, and then never the two shall meet type thing. And it was very overwhelming, and I was starstruck type thing. I'm like, oh my God, this is awesome. And so we invited them down to stay the night, and it didn't click. There was, once we met them in the flesh, it was terrible.
Why?
Yeah.
How?
I like to hold intelligent conversations with people, and let's just say she couldn't. I would. To be,
I like turtles.
to be brutally honest, uneducated bogan.
Wow.
And I just,
Hashtag redneck. Hashtag bogan.
yeah. And I'm just like, I can't deal with this. And then he had no skills in the bedroom. And I'm like, I'm drier than the Sahara Desert right now.
Wow.
I'm like,
So-
and I actually, and I mean, he was giving.
She's a harsh judge.
I'm a harsh judge. He was giving the woman a fantastic time, and I'm just like, I want what she's having. Like, give me my husband back. Type thing.
That's great. You just Harry Met Sally'd the chick. I'll have what she's having, and by that I mean give me my husband back, bitch.
And at that stage, like nothing had previously ever gone wrong for us, and I'm like, what do I do? And I'm like, I just can't continue doing this, and I had to call things to a stop. And then it was kind of awkward because they were staying the night, and yeah.
So early days, made a mistake, learned from
Yeah,
that. Let's not
yeah,
do that
I mean,
again.
and-
So how would you handle that now differently?
I've learned to be very honest. If something's not working for me, it's not working for me. I also need to be, and that's why we now meet people out and about, and a lot of the time we don't play on the first date anymore.
Yeah.
We sort of let it marinate with us, see, you know,
Yeah.
make sure we're all on the same page, and not have to have that conversation like, oh, I need to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Come
Will
with
you
me.
help me?
Yeah, can you help me in the bathroom so we can talk about them?
Actually, your podcast in some of the earlier episodes where you talked about like not playing on the first date is what
Yeah.
made me talk to Jay about that. To say, hey,
Yeah.
man, these guys do that. It's like I think
Yeah.
that's actually a really good play. We should,
Yeah, I think
it.
it would have. Not that I regret any of the decisions we've made, but we could have made smarter choices.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have played with a few people that we've played with.
Yeah, it's
Sorry.
it's funny because you start to feel. I know for me in the beginning, and even still now, some if you hit it off like on a first date, you really hit it off, and part of you wants to do it,
Yes.
and then it's sort of like, but I don't want to do it, but I do want to do it, and then there's always that pressure, and then without fail, I have major performance anxiety because of that, because I'm overthinking in my head, thinking we're moving on faster than I'm really ready to move on, but
Yeah.
it's still happening. So yeah. it's-
Oh, like when we met you guys for the first time, I was, as I said, I thought I was really quiet, and
You were really
I
quiet.
was nervous.
I still
Oh
don't
my
understand
God,
that.
this
Now
couple
she can't shut up.
this couple is gorgeous.
Oh,
I
shut
would-
up! Tell me more.
I would have been in the same boat. I would have been like, oh, I can't do anything.
Well, because it's funny because you guys ended up coming back to our hotel room,
Yes.
and that's one of our. I mean, because we had a communication for a very long time
Yes.
with you guys on Kik and
Yeah.
Twitter, but it is funny because she and I had talked about it. And we're like, all right, we are on holiday. We know we like these two.
Yeah.
If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And so we were like, I thought originally because you were like. She had said, "Oh, we have wine back in our hotel room," and then we had gone out to drinks. And you said, "I hear there's wine in your hotel room," and I'm like, "Oh, that's a sign. I know that. I know what that means. It means let's go back to the hotel room and brown chicken, brown cow." And we got back to the hotel room, and it didn't fizzle, but it just never lit. The fire never lit.
I was way too nervous, and he's like, "Why didn't you make a move?" She was sitting right next to you. I'm like, even sometimes now I'm like, she's just so gorgeous and beautiful, and I'm nervous to touch her.
I'm just human. Just human.
I'm nervous to touch her too because sometimes I'm afraid she's going to hurt me.
Well, it was funny because we were sitting there and, you know, I wanted to make a move, but at the same time I was like, well, we've already invited them back. I don't want to push them past their comfort level.
Yeah,
I'm like, if they're not comfortable, I don't want to freak them out and run them off forever. So,
And it's so funny because
I wanted to pounce.
see, that was the thing. We saw the tension in the muscles and thought she wanted to run, like fight or flight. You wanted fight and pounce. We thought it was flight and run.
Like a cage tiger.
Yeah.
Open it up.
Oh, that is funny though, and that's
Yeah.
one of the things I actually really appreciate about you both is that, you know, Jay especially. If there's something you're like, I don't really want to do that, or let's not, and I'm like, all right, cool.
but you know where you stand.
Yeah, it's a rare honesty because most people just go okay, and they do it, and they're they're half-assing it, or they really don't care, and that's kind of refreshing to have that honesty.
Yeah.
I think when you have to live with it 24/7, you get a bit sick of it.
Like, is that true, Gray?
I'm such a realist. I'm so blunt.
It does get a bit annoying.
Save yourself. Change the subject. Deflect. Oh, that's great. Yeah, but we joked about that later. It's like, I can't tell if they wanted to or didn't want to. Like, I don't know. We'll ask them later. And here we are. Enter later.
So going back to the whole children thing.
Oh, yeah, children.
Kids.
Kids.
Kids,
We'll leave
yeah.
that behind soon enough, but you know.
Children?
Yeah. But so you had the couple that stayed the night. Tell us how you handled that the next morning with the kids, explaining why there are still people there. And moving on from that, when they do start asking questions and figuring things out, how do you plan to handle that in the future?
Yeah. Well, I mean, they knew they were staying the night.
Okay.
Yeah.
They actually had a couple
Was it
of kids.
just they're from out of town?
They're from
gonna
out of
stay with
town, so
us?
because
They had a couple of kids too, and so they brought them, and the kids all sort of played
Oh,
together
okay.
in the
Yeah.
afternoon, like
It's like-
on the first day and all that sort of stuff. And they were there.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes it easy then.
Yeah.
Their kids were bratty though.
Just because they're not your kids. Nobody's kids are as good as your own kids.
That's right.
My kids are the devil.
When two of them get together, they're like, "Arr!" It's like, it's a break.
Yeah, so that was fine. And yeah, we've had nobody else stay over since then. We do have a spare room in our house for anyone out of town. Once we've met.
And we like you.
We plan on taking you up on that.
That's okay, we like you.
I suppose we just, if the kids do say something that we don't necessarily agree with, so my daughter once made a comment that she was going to marry her best friend when she grows up, and at the time her best friend was female, and our son pipes in and is like, you can't marry a girl. And so we're trying to start early with like, well, no, love is love. You can love a man, a boy or a girl. So just trying to take away those social norms.
That heteronormative.
Yeah. And
Or at least not reinforce and instill.
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
right?
we-
For sure.
you know, not going to come out right now. So I identify as bisexual myself, but even I'm not publicly out
Right.
with that, with my friends and everything. It's still quite just part of my private life.
Is there anybody other than play partners that know?
There's a few people.
Like vanilla
The
friends?
swinging or the...
No, the bisexuality.
There's a couple.
Yeah, I've got a
friends who are-
a few male friends who are being quite flirty with over some time, and for some reason I've clung to them and sort of been a bit more myself, but it's really strange to not share that kind of information with some of my friends, but unfortunately I have very prudish friends who are extremely vanilla.
I found that so interesting because, like, Australia, is less prudish than anywhere I've ever lived.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know,
I've found the worst ones.
that's
They're all my friends.
Which is interesting how you attract them because you're not prudish.
yes, you're the anti-prude.
No.
That's
So, I think a few people kind of maybe assume. So I play sport, and due to the sport that I play,
yeah.
it does attract the bisexual people a lot. But even in that, I still haven't felt comfortable coming out.
Isn't it one?
Oh, I think one or two girls on my
Sort of
team
know,
sort of
or-
know.
yeah.
They just assume because I'm the one at the pool party trying to motorboat all the other girls.
Gee, what gives it away?
However would they figure that out?
I know.
I'm not bi. I just want to.
And the last two pool parties, who's the one who's been naked
Yeah, I've
in
been
the
the
pool?
one naked in the pool trying to get everyone to take their swimmers off.
Of course. Hello, breast inspector.
So yeah, I think with the kids, we try to sort of start educating them and bringing them up in a world that we're comfortable with, but at the same time not like forcing things upon them. I think we just take it as it comes.
There's a pun there.
Ooh, yeah.
No, I think that's
I'll
great.
take it, yeah. Take it.
You know, talking about, we've got a number of friends again who have kids who are try to raise them in a more non-heteronormative world.
Yeah.
And just let them know there's other options
Yeah,
out there.
just not push them in a specific direction, but
right.
to say, hey, you don't have to necessarily do what TV says or movies say. You know, it's not always Cinderella and Prince Charming. Sometimes it's Cinderella and Princess Charming. And I think that's important, and I can't imagine how difficult that is, because for me, I can imagine me trying to show my children these other options, but I can't come up with a way in which I'm not sort of trying to push it on them as well.
Yeah.
To try to show it in a way that's, you know, organic and natural, and not a way that's, oh yeah, this is, you know, I don't know, this is the way to be kind of thing.
Yeah, so I was recently, someone I've been flirting with invited me out for a drink recently. And I'm like, is this like a couples thing because he's married? Or is it like an us drinks? And he's like, oh, just an us drinks. And I'm like, oh, where's this going? And he'd made some comments, and I'm like, I think they could be swingers. I'm like, but why are we then going out just on a single date? And it turns out they're in a poly relationship, more cited for her to be poly and not necessarily him. But we were super interested in talking to them about having other relationships because they've also got 2 kids, but they basically hide it from their children. And they've been polyamorous for quite a number of years now, and their children are older than ours. And I'm like, oh, they can make that work, and you know, maybe they get all their friends over and it's no big deal that friends are staying over. No, it wasn't anything like we expected.
Right.
They're really sheltering the children.
Which I mean, I think if it was like that could work. Like there would be
Yeah, I
ways
agree.
to do it. But for us, when in talking with them, like in order for with how they deal with the kids and that, and like with us, with our kids, about like how we may try and get that to work, it was like from our kids' aspect, it was just going to be a bit sort of difficult.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because as soon as you start hiding it from the children, it almost seems like you're ashamed of it.
Yeah.
Or that you don't want your children to experience what you've got, so it must not be that great.
Yeah.
And that would mean, I wouldn't like that. It doesn't seem, it doesn't make logical sense.
I thought they would have like this magical story of how they make poly work
Yeah.
and then with children and all these other relationships, and it's like, you know, a little community raising
Yeah.
a family or something.
And that would be awesome.
Yeah, and then it turned out to be nothing like
It also
that.
seems very exhausting and a lot
Stressful.
of work.
Yeah.
And yeah.
That is.
They made it sound like a lot of work.
That's in the too hard basket.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's where it's landed.
Yeah. I like the idea of the poly community, and I've always thought it would be awesome to have like a strip of townhouses where you've got family, and then a couple, and then us, and then family, and everybody sort of, there's no pressure, no nothing. It's like, oh, can you watch our kids while us and 2A go and fool around, like, or go out on a date or go on holiday? And we'll be like, absolutely.
So Gray came up with the idea way back. He goes, we should have like all these other couples with kids that we all play together and we're all friends, and then when those two couples want to hook up, then we look after all the kids and stuff like that. And I'm like,
He's got to try and build that network.
So
we're still trying to build that network.
So rather than the au pair network, then you have the swingers parents network.
The pair network.
So because our friends who were hesitant about last year's meet and greet, they're about to have their baby at Easter time, and I would gladly babysit for them so that they can go out on a date.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So, but that's me. I love babies.
Who doesn't? I love babies.
And then I can hand them
back.
back.
So tender. I'm kidding. I'm joking.
Baby back ribs.
Oh God! I want my baby back.
No, get in my belly.
There's a millennial out there that goes, "What? I don't get it." Anyway, these old people.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you guys have worked through a few kinks and whatnot.
There's a fun there.
Figuring out how to deal with it and handle family.
Yeah.
Because it's only been a little over a year. So for where you started and where you've come to, sounds pretty amazing, really.
I mean, we talk a hell of a lot more than what we ever used to. But things that have really helped us along the way is listening to lifestyle podcasts such as yours. And things that we don't even think of, we hear it on a podcast and then we'll talk about it. And I don't think we would be this far without all that advice from everyone else in the lifestyle.
It's a great support group. The lifestyle itself, everybody in it, that's one of the things we really like, is that we're all sort of on each other's teams. And even if you don't necessarily play the same way as somebody else, you still might have come across something or be able to gain some jewel of knowledge from them that, so that you can avoid a pitfall later on.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we get good little bits from all the different ones with their different aspects, like C&D and Swinging Down Under, and then Al and Ellie from the Aussie Swingers, are pretty good. Get little tidbits from each of them.
Oh. Yeah. So how long till you start your own podcast?
I don't like the sound of my voice.
We'll let the public be the judge of that.
That's right.
And I giggle a lot.
Well,
I've been thinking about it for a while.
Hey, people like the giggling, trust me. Hashtag we want Jay. I need to tag that when I press this. It's you guys have a pretty huge Twitter following.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
I don't know.
And you got how many?
About 3,000.
3,000 something.
Yeah.
We're not really.
We're not super active at the moment. It comes and goes.
And which is part of the problem with some of the people in the lifestyle.
Yeah.
Then there's the couples that comes and don't goes.
Yeah. I think we end up following people that then end up following other, following us back and all that sort of stuff. I think it's just a little bit more from that, really, rather than like actively putting it. Like most of the stuff we post is like just about some swinger events or things that we might be going to. Some ones that we like and we do go to as well.
It's funny how so we started the Twitter thing.
Funny back
sort
and
of
forth to you guys.
I think just before we went to our first lifestyle event, because I remember tweeting about coming up to Sydney to go to OSS. And I must admit back then we posted a lot of photos that I wouldn't post anymore. We've changed the way we present ourselves to other lifestyle people back then, and we kind of didn't know any different. It was a lot of shots of genitals and everything. And now we like to present ourselves as, just nice people.
Modest.
Yeah.
Nice people. Wait.
Well,
A bit of a nipple slip there.
Yeah. The Twitter thing originally, I suppose, for us wasn't necessarily really about the lifestyle per se. It was just like this fun.
Yeah, just
like,
dirty
it's more
pics.
Of a, dirty pics, sharing
Yeah.
sexy stuff on the internet, bit of excitement from that.
A
sort
bit of a
aspect
voyeur
it.
exhibitionist kind of
Is
thing.
that, and it's sort of then morphed into actually using that a bit more to like engage with people and lifestyles. Like, let's maybe not present that side.
And we've
like, it's
actually
like the
even deleted
no,
some of our photos, off there.
I'm glad I saved them then.
Yeah, to align with like our profile online. So even online, so we mostly use Red Hot Pie to find other people, and like it's all, I would say, fairly classy photos, and even our private gallery is just face shots.
Yeah, that's us as well.
So
We've got now 2 private galleries. The first one is no face shots, and the second one is all just sort of candid, like us on vacation pictures.
yeah, we've got lots of our like past Red Heaven events pictures where we're dressed in cute costumes and things like that. It's just a way to show our personality and our faces.
And that's what I like, is to be able to see someone's personality a bit more from the pictures other than your genitalia, because everybody has the bits and pieces. I want to see what makes you.
Well, it's like I've said before, if what it takes is a dick pic for you to judge someone, then you either need to think about how you judge people, or it's like, if that's all you're looking for, then you're probably not the people that we're gonna hang out with.
Yeah, I actually bluntly messaged someone back recently who opened up their private gallery for us, and I think it was just a few dick pics in there, and I'm like, if that's all you got to show us, we're not super interested. I'm like, if I meet you, I'm gonna want to see what's like you. I'm gonna want to see what's down there. I am not gonna want to meet you because of what's down there.
Yeah, exactly.
So
It's funny. We've talked to so many people who agree with us on that kind of thing, and yet still there's millions of people out there that just send dick pics.
Yeah. Because there was this couple in Sydney. It was a profile that I read on RHP, and it really stuck with me. They're from like Sutherland sort of Cronulla sort of area, or whatever. I can't remember their names, but So in their profile, they mentioned about like if you want to see titty and cock shots or whatever, go look at a porn site. It's like, no, this is all we put in there, and it was just like face shots of them. Yeah. And like even in their private galleries, they didn't. It's like as soon as I read that, I'm like, I said to Jackson, hey, read that profile. I was like, it's really, really good.
I like this.
It's like, let's, like, because we had some sexy-ish sort of shots, and it wasn't like a straight hot shot or whatever. It was whatever, but.
Oh yeah, we had those in there too.
Yeah. We did.
But you live, you learn.
And then we were like, actually, no, I like that. That's better. Yeah.
And that's a good way to do it, is to look at other profiles and see what do you like and not like, and that helps you build your own and present yourself the way that you want to be presented, because you see how others are presenting themselves, and is that what I want others to think of me or not?
Wasn't it Picasso who said, "Good artists imitate, great artists steal"? So I mean, it makes perfect sense. Cool.
Yeah.
Do we have more questions?
I don't have any more. Is there anything else you guys would like to say?
Advice to people with children who are trying to convince their partner to jump into the lifestyle?
Don't be afraid to do it just because you have kids, I suppose.
Yeah.
Like just you'll be able to find a way to make it work. Like
I think a lot of people, when they have children, stop spending time together, and even just talking to friends. So last year, I would come up to Sydney for sporting events, and Gray would come with me, and I'm like, oh, we're just having a dirty weekend away, and they were the weekends that we would use to go to the club. And everyone's like, oh, you're having a dirty weekend away from the kids. I'm like, yeah, just because we've been married for a few years doesn't mean we don't deserve time together. And I think that's what a lot of couples forget, is that they need that time together with other people.
Great.
So it's becoming really normal to go out on dates, because you just find, we didn't want to be one of those couples that all the kids grew up and all of a sudden we had nothing to talk about.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So we decided to not only start swinging, but taking back like our relationship together as well, by spending time out and about on,
And I think that sets a
adult
good
time.
example for the
Yeah.
kids as well, to see a good, healthy relationship in which your
Yeah.
parents communicate.
Yeah.
So people with kids, you do
Yeah.
need to get out and away from the children and have good adult conversation with people who are just can honestly talk about things, which is what you find like going to the club, just talking to people. It's just like very freeing to be able to say what you want.
No filters.
Yeah.
That's one of the things,
Yeah.
we've talked about it. We like going to the club because you're surrounding yourself with people who think like you.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's kind of nice and it's safe, and you don't have to
Yeah.
worry about, if I say, if I hit on this guy's wife, that's not a problem. That's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have so much more honest communication
Yeah.
with just people that you wouldn't have,
Yeah, so
or we didn't anyway before.
Yeah.
Right? It's like,
And we found that it helps our honesty between each other is
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
afterwards, like at some point this weekend, you'll leave and we'll talk about you.
yeah. I'll talk about you all the way home.
Oh,
3
shut up.
hours.
again and again and again. We'll talk about you later on tonight
So yeah.
too.
So yeah, having kids shouldn't scare you from joining the lifestyle. It's doable. You don't have to be in the lifestyle. You don't have to go out every weekend and
No.
Yeah.
have a
Yeah.
date. I would sometimes go through little droughts.
Yeah.
Do you
campers.
Skype people as well or FaceTime?
So the only couple we've ever Skyped were
Ah,
you guys.
Yeah, look at that.
I think you remember how nervous I was
You
about
remember-
getting
yeah,
on Skype.
I do remember that.
I'm like, oh, I've got to wash the dishes, and I hate washing the dishes.
That's great. Like, well, this crown molding is not going to clean itself. And he's looking like, we don't even have crown molding. Well, I'm going to put it up first, okay?
So yeah, I'm much better face to face.
Except when we bring you back to the hotel and you're
And I'm like,
nervous.
oh no.
Yeah.
That's funny, you're blushing. I can see it through you.
I could get that.
That's great. Awesome.
Yeah.
Do we have
so,
a question of the week?
We do. I'm going to open my sex box.
Ooh.
Wow.
I know, right? And I'm trying to decide. I was trying to look at time and figure out how much time we have, whether I want to do...
One's X-rated, one's XX-rated.
I know, right?
I love it.
Do you want the
Ooh.
X-rated one or the XX-rated one?
Ooh.
XX.
XX. All right. What is your go-to feel-good sex position?
Let's start with Gray.
So, I really like the woman on top, like sort of squatting over me. That's the one I
Well,
love.
that's like, I think they actually call that like Asian cowgirl, where she squats over you, like her feet are
yeah.
planted firmly next to your hips.
Yeah.
And then
yeah.
she's literally doing
That-
squats,
yeah,
like
yeah.
up and down. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know
That-
someone
I
who
love
would
that.
fit that position perfectly.
Yeah.
They might do a podcast as well.
Oh yeah, they mentioned that. I think a couple. Yeah.
She liked that position. So that's your go-to. That's like,
That's that. I love that one.
oh,
Like,
yeah.
lady does that and like it's
Just
not
like,
long.
I'm just gonna
until it's
lay
over.
here. I'm just gonna lay here and watch. Squat away, princess.
And Jay, what's yours?
I think probably doggy style would be my favorite. I don't know.
It's
yeah,
pretty good too. It's a
yeah.
nice visual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I must admit, because so I have a strap on, and that's my favorite position if I'm fucking another woman, as well, because I like the visual.
Yeah, you get the nice shape down the back and then around the
Yeah.
ass.
So
and-
yeah, when I'm in that position, I like the arch at the back, and then you have my hair pulled or something. Yeah, it's a good ride.
I need to remember that. The hair
Yeah.
I'm not a hair puller because she doesn't like it.
Yeah, I like pretty rough sex.
Well, I did notice that when I was trying to get a little, because that's not my personality. It's hard for me to get in there. But for a good 45 seconds, I was like, grrr, with you, and you were like, oh, you were all melty.
I'm like, hell yeah.
You were all melty. Like, I need to remember this. It's so funny. You got to think about, like, each partner likes something different, and
Yes.
so
Yeah.
that's tough sometimes to remember.
is,
It's
yeah.
like,
Yeah, but you need to keep a little dossier.
We need a
on
little.
everyone.
We need the little black book we'll put in there.
You're the one with the database, right?
The geek, probably.
We'll have you fill out the black book before you leave. That way I can remember it for next time.
Yes. And what about you, Mr. Adam?
Well, so I'm going to be complicated and difficult because that's me. But my absolute favorite is doggy style. I love it. I love the visual. I love the feeling. There's just something great. That's for most sex except for morning sex. For me, morning sex, I like the spooning where we're both on our sides. It's still doggy style. I know, right? Because there's something it's relaxing, yet still it can get kind of rough. And there's that moment where you just take her back and you push her away from you, and that's just like,
You can just roll over and slip in.
yeah, it's great.
In the morning.
Yeah, I love that. That's
Yes.
You know, just kind of fall in accidentally.
Yeah.
You know.
oops. Where did all that lube come from? Oops. And that's how we stained the sheets.
Well, that's one of the ways.
And you?
If I had to pick one position, as far as penetrative sex, I would say doggy. Otherwise, I like 69 a lot.
Yeah,
But-
God.
But if we're talking penetrative, I would say doggy is my go-to. There are times that I like to be on top, squatting, like what Gray was saying. I like that because that gives me a lot more control and you know, how I want to move, if I want to go quickly or slowly. But if I was limited to one position forever, I would say doggy.
Yeah, that would be what I
Yeah.
would say as
See,
well.
I like the not being in control, not specifically being able to control it and let the lady
Okay.
control it. So-
Hashtag lazy, hashtag fuck me. I'm sorry.
No, because the awesome visual, like
You're
the
right,
visual
there-
on that one is great too. Like,
Yeah, but I know you get
Yeah.
the breasts and the hips,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you get to grab the butt, and you're like, grr,
yeah.
Yeah.
grr. I like grr sometimes. I can be grr.
Yeah, you can. Yeah. He was grr.
Yeah, I will say as well, one of the things I love to do is pick the woman up. That for me is, I enjoy doing that
I'm
because
like, oh my god, he is so strong.
and that's why, because it's not strength, it's leverage. It's understanding where your center of gravity is. That I love doing that.
Yeah.
And there's something really fun about that as well, because it is that sort of surprise of
It was.
yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm blushing now. But yeah, that's my favorite. Those are my
Awesome.
favorites. I like having lots of favorites.
That's okay. That's allowed.
I like sex.
Yeah. Any position,
Yes.
anytime.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for one
Yes.
coming up. By the way, we're gonna do a post plug. How was did you go to Pendulum Party?
Yes.
We did.
Yeah.
Yes.
And how was it?
It was good.
It was
great.
Yes. Yeah. As we put on Twitter, I think it's
That's
the best party we've ever been to at OSS.
Yeah.
Yay!
Yeah.
We're very
Heaps of
excited.
fun.
There was lots of people. There was lots of play. Just yeah.
And did you have lots of play?
Yes. We had lots of play. Yes.
Somebody's watching
She's
again.
getting all demure all of a sudden. I love it. She's like, yes. Yeah, excellent. Yeah, we had a lot of fun. So that's a completely different podcast. which has
Yeah.
probably
You
been out
can talk
already.
about that for ages.
We'll talk about that for ages, but I just wanted that to hear more about me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Great weekend.
Awesome. Well, we're gonna do it again. So if you missed it last time, there'll be a next time.
Yes.
And you guys can
On the pendulum party, I thought you were talking about the sex. Just
Oh yeah, well,
Well,
that,
that
too. But and you guys,
Let's wrap this podcast up. Come on.
you guys can always feel free to come here and stay. Awesome. All right. Well, we're gonna wrap this mother up.
Yes, thank you to Gray and Jay for joining us. If you want to follow them on Twitter, they are at Wine and Fun Times. We'll post a link.
Definitely. Well, just go to us and
Or just go to us and
they're
find them,
they're
yeah.
constantly commenting on our shit because they're awesome.
Your shit's funny.
I love it. So if you want to go to Twitter and follow us, we are at By the By Podcast. On Facebook, we're By the By Podcast. There's a fly flying around my head. I feel like King Kong. We are www.bytheby.com.au. Or you can email us at theatomsoflove@gmail.com. Did I forget anything?
Nope, I think you covered it all.
Awesome.
All right, thanks
Yeah.
for listening.
Let's go cover it all.